Okay, I'm Lily Cook, and for my project, I made shadow boxes out of the old materials from the farmhouse, which is where my dad lives. And I'm going to talk about the history of the farmhouse, the type of materials I use, what we do at the farmhouse, and more. So I have my poster, what I made, and my slideshow presentation. It would be virtually impossible to present any of this without any background on what the farmhouse is and how we got it and how old it is, because these materials are very old. So I'm going to start with some background. This is a picture of the farmhouse when my dad first bought it in 2010. You can see the details a lot better in person. That's my dad. And then this is little me next to our little bulldozer that we had. It's a very rare occasion when there's no machinery in the yard, even now. And then I also want to talk about my love for animals. So my mom is definitely an outdoorsy woman. We always go on hikes. I've always grown up with dogs. We've never not had a dog. But the farmhouse really nurtured my love for big farm animals. So you could see me and my brother with the horse, one of the horses next door, and then me holding a chicken with the donkeys kissing me. They give little kisses. We're surrounded by farms. Actually, I have a picture of it. But one of our farms is home to the world's tallest ox. His name is Tommy. I love him. So I see him whenever I go there. And this is me with one of the cows. So it's significant that we bought the house with the 5 or 6 acres that came with it. But next door, the barn that we now own, that we didn't own when we bought the house, was occupied by cows. And so was the 7 or so acres that we bought when we bought the acreage and the barn together. So growing up, before we had bought that, we were next door neighbors to the cows. There were so many of them, and they ranged from adult cows to calves. And I was there when they got all the calves in. I fed the calves, and it really just brought up my love for the big farm animals. So it's also a beautiful place that has art to it. This is completely unprompted. We've had a few painters do paintings of the house. Well, we haven't. We have discovered paintings of our house because it's such a beautiful place. It's a place that people drive by and take pictures of. I've been playing outside in the yard and look and see people taking pictures of my house. And I'm like, it's just that beautiful and that old. It's actually named Massachusetts Historical Site on a few different websites, so that's cool. So yeah, that's another painting of it. This is it in 2010. And then I also have a picture of it in 1926. This is one of the original families of the house. Well, after generations had passed. We have actually had the house dated. There's some controversy around it. We have a relative time span of late 1700s to early 1800s. Very old house. Extremely, extremely old. I could do a presentation itself on the history of the house, but we're not going to do that. So that's the house in 2010. And then this is supposedly the original Valentine Bowen house, which is who we thought had built the house, but the historian dated it differently. There's a lot of controversy around it, but this is his house, and then this is the actual farmhouse. This is the front porch when he had first got the house, which is where I got the material for the back of this, is from the ceiling of the wraparound porch. Not wraparound, but large porch. And then this is the before of our living room. This isn't even really a before because this is 2013, but this is a relative before. There's another window here that you'll be able to see in the next picture because it's taken from a slightly different angle. And this is the new living room. We tried to keep all the aspects of an old house. You could see the different patterns and color scheme is a very old farmhouse. And then this is my room, not now, but my old room. You could see the state of it. It's still beautiful, the natural light coming in. But then we have this old farmhouse character of this beautiful wallpaper. I could also do a separate presentation on that. Okay, so this is also notable, is in an environmental perspective, the materials that were made. Okay, I don't think that stopped the video. I got like a power notification on my phone. So you could see it's old growth versus new growth lumber. So this is the type of lumber that was used to make our house in way back when. And then this is the type of lumber used for houses now. So you can see the rings of the tree are way closer together in the old wood, and then in the new wood, they're a lot farther spaced apart. This is because this wood was taken from trees in forests that were virtually untouched because they're so old. So when, for example, an oak tree, we talked about this with the guy that came in. For example, an oak tree, if a seed fell on the ground, the big canopy above of the old trees that have been there for forever would keep the light from coming in, the roots would keep as much water from coming in. So since it was such a dense, healthy forest, it would take more years for trees to grow bigger. So this is overall better quality wood. Anyways, better sustainable for the environment, whatever, etc., etc. So this is the type of wood that was used for the farmhouse, and this is the type of wood you would find now in forests or trees that are planted in arrays like people do. So I just thought that was an interesting fact. That's the type of wood that was used here. Obviously you can't really kind of see there if you look at it close in person. But if I really pulled up one of the big pieces of lumber that we have and split it in half, you could really see that the rings are very close together compared to farther apart. So yeah, that's the presentation on Google Slides. Now, I'm going to talk about my poster. Oh no, I thought you could turn it around. So this is the materials that I used. Hopefully you can see it. This is a picture of me after I scored the glass. This is me putting it together. This is it without the back after I went in with the nail gun. And then this is my dad, and this is the overall background that I just talked about. Okay, so then I wanted to talk about the wildlife in the back of the farmhouse. So before my puppy went in and ate all of everything that I had gathered from our 12 acres of land, everything, I had a ton of feathers. She ate them all. But I have some left over. So I believe these both to be like pheasant feathers. You could see the markings on them. And then a beehive that I found in the barn. And then I also, so obviously, since this land is ours, it's completely unhunted. So we have big families of deer that go around. Honestly, I would kind of love to have someone go in and hunt it just to see like how big the deer are, because they're huge. And we have trail cams and things like that, but I didn't bring them up for this. I could have put them in the slideshow. But this spring, I found a deer shed. So it was just laying on the ground. It had a little bit of blood here, so it was relatively new. I think it was like May or April that I found it. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. But I found this deer shed. It would have been a 6-pointer deer, which is like 2 years old, give or take. It's probably a little bit older now since I found it in the spring. But I thought that's very cool. It's kind of like my favorite thing from the farmhouse. I think it's cool. Obviously, it's not that big relative to other deer, but if they curve inward, it would have gone like this.